Welcome to the podcast, the Human Experience Podcast, where we explore the depths of spirituality and our own personal journeys and experiences. I'm Dr. Carlos Garcia.
And I'm Supna Doshi. In this space, we'll reflect on the wisdom of some of the most profound spiritual teachers, from Eckhart Tolle to Ram Dass, Wayne Dyer, Michael Singer. Together, we'll dive into their teachings and share our own insights that have guided us on our own paths of self-discovery.
Each episode will feature inspiring clips from these masters, weaving them into our own reflections and conversations on how spirituality has enriched our daily lives, deepened our understanding of ourselves, and led us to a more meaningful experience.
So, take a deep breath, open your heart, and join us on this journey of exploration. Welcome to the podcast, the Human Experience Podcast.
The universe puts relationships in our lives that really are meant to teach us something. I go into something thinking one thing, and then it's usually hindsight, but now I've caught up and now I can say, oh, today my lesson was this. Today this person taught me this and I learned this about myself. And this is where, I have whatever stuck energy or growth opportunity or whatever it is. But because you've lived right through the Marine Corps, through the fire department, through your entire journey. You've lived and had a lot of romantic and non-romantic relationships that come in, friendships. And then now having a partner and a child, those relationships teach us so much.
Understanding, right? The understanding of these things are always sort of critical and important. Culturally, there's a shift cognitively that had to happen for me to even know or understand or, sit with the idea that relationships come into our lives for a reason. Right. So oftentimes when I'm doing work as a psychotherapist, people sort of come in and they're like, well, what do I do with this relationship? And what I offer them is sort of, you have two options. One of those options is anytime anything feels uncomfortable in your relationship, set boundaries or move away from it, or you use it. I think we have traditionally, or in some cultures, it's just easier to move away from the relationship, especially in today's day and age where you can go on an app and within a couple of hours have a date later on that evening. It's easier to move out of relationships. It's easier to not do the hard thing. I think culturally we're set up that way. It's easier. I mean, look at the divorce rate, right? But when I shifted my mindset to, what's showing up in this relationship is the work that I could probably use or need to look at myself, right? This person is mirroring back to me where I potentially have some work to do. That was a big shift.
What prompted that shift for you?
Probably my delving into spirituality. It just started, as a psychotherapist, it was oh, well, yeah, great. Just set boundaries here. And sometimes that's necessary, right? I would never condone an abusive or threatening relationship in any way. But there's these different shades of it, right? So as a psychotherapist before, it was just oh, well, what do you need to do to get out of this relationship? Or what do you need to do to, fix the situation? And yes, maybe that is required at times, but through spirituality and understanding, I think what you started to say, there's a purpose for these relationships in our lives. A big, where I can pinpoint that is when I learned about the sort of idea of karma yoga, right? That you use the things of your life as your work on yourself for spiritual growth. That was the big sort of pivot point for me.
We do have a tendency to move out of relationships, but then there are the relationships with parents and children that I feel we're not so easy to move out of those relationships, but that we struggle so much in them because maybe that mind shift hasn't happened of oh, I don't have to be right and somebody else be wrong. I can try to sit back and see what I need to learn.
Yeah. I mean, those relationships that we can't easily move away from. And those, those relationships often, right, when we're talking about family, they can be the most triggering, right? Like those are the ones that get us.
Yeah, I love I heard a talk by Ram Dass and he said he went to India and he was on the spiritual path and he was on cloud nine and he'd go home and his father would say to him, "Do you have a job?" And back he would just plummet into himself.
Yeah.
It's hard to appreciate how deep in it we are, how deep in the doo-doo of personality, how real it all is. I mean, you all think you have needs that must be met. You all think you have personality identities that must be honored. And even as I say that, I can feel you get tight, defending your right to have those things. Isn't that true? I can feel it in myself, too, I have a right to be angry. Damn right I do. We'll wait, there's no rush. When you finish that trip, we'll still be here. Because awareness isn't in time. It's just here. You want to enjoy your neurosis? Enjoy. Enjoy. Have more. Have another helping. Really climb in. We have gotten so thick in it, and so you're either getting into it through abuse of this or that, or you spend the rest of your life getting out of it, which is all giving it, that plane of reality, so much juice. And you look at your relationships from the point of view of your separateness. How will you fulfill my needs? I'll be who you need me to be if you'll be who I need you to be. Now, that kind of symbiosis, that's all fine if you don't get trapped in it. But if you get trapped in it, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare rooted in your sense of separateness. It's like feeding the illusion of the separateness, which is the root cause of the pain. So if the game is to be happy, the question is whether fulfilling your needs makes you happy, and whether fulfilling your needs makes you any happier than not fulfilling your needs. It's an interesting life. It does for the moment, there's no doubt about it. But if you notice that when you live on the realm of needs, the minute one is done, another one appears. You have a hierarchy of needs. So like a motivational hierarchy. I need food. Now I need ice cream. Now I need television. Now I need a cold drink. Now I need some popcorn. Now I need to go to bed. If you notice that, you just go from one need to another, and each one is, and then, and then, and then, It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary.
Like if we can continue to come back to this idea of, what is this person showing me? What is this person reflecting back to me that's in me that I can use this opportunity to take a look at, to soften, to just observe. Right. Because again, I'll come back to my mother. This was probably a couple months back, but I remember getting off the phone with her and just feeling so frustrated and observing that frustration and then getting really sad. Because it's like, I don't hold anyone else to this standard in my life, not my clients, not my spouse, not my friends, right? I show up with so much love and just allowing space for them. And it's like, oh my God, like, what is this in me that I need to soften and take a look at? I don't want to treat her like that.
Right.
I don't want to have her feel that way towards me.
Did you answer the question? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm probably still working on it. The sort of psychological and familial dynamics that start to occur early on in life, right? It's my understanding of the way that my mother is from her own upbringing, right? That oftentimes she doesn't, her tone or the things that she says or the attitude is often not even in her control, but a byproduct, right, of her own upbringing and her own traumas and her own stuff and her own life experiences. And that allows me to create a little space where I can give her forgiveness. So it's a deeper understanding of who she is as a human being and what her work is on this earth that allows me to move out of a place of feeling triggered or reacting to her to a place of pausing, taking a moment, and responding to her from a place of love and compassion and patience. And not always, right? Like, it's just, those are moments.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. It's like there are moments when we're human, and then there are moments when we can step away from it and find our center and be very grounded and compassionate and loving. And that's the ebb and flow of it at all. I think with children, it's just been so eye-opening for me to see how much of my parents' stuff was put onto me, and how hard I try not to put any of my stuff on my own children and to shield them from everybody else's stuff because they've got their own stuff.
I find it's so much easier to give kids compassion and like patience, right? Because we have this like they don't know any better. I mean, I thought I would not be anything like my parents. And then I had my son, and I was like, okay, the both of them are coming through loud and clear. The ways I can, for example, it feels like something silly, but it's there, right? Like my son will be eating, and I just like, if he's making a big mess, I'm like getting all uptight and anxious, or like I have to wipe his face because his face is all, and I'm like, oh, this is my mother. Like people make fun of me, like I always have to have like shoes on or sandals on, like wherever I go. And like that's my mother. My mother screaming at me of always having shoes on. Your feet are gonna get dirty. You're gonna get sick, right? Something bad's gonna happen.
Yes.
And then now I see it showing. We just anytime with my son, it's there. Or the impatience that often I experienced with my father, with my son who doesn't just doesn't understand or knows any better. But I see it arising. And I think that I need to give myself some love and compassion there, and realizing how deeply we can be wired and conditioned by those environments that we spent so much time in, especially during those, early formative developmental years where our brain and behaviors are taking root.
What are in the relationships that you've had, what are some things that maybe you remember where you learned something about yourself? Like you just talked about the shoes in your mom, like that totally, it's like, oh, that's why I do what I do. But can you think of like any relationships where you've had people like have revealed to you that, oh, like this is something new about me that I didn't know?
I remember when I first met my current partner, Christina, and we were 6 months into the relationship, 7 months, and we had moved in together. And it was sort of our first argument, which I can't even recall what it was about. But I remember she said something that sort of upset me, and I got up. I chose to get up and walk away from the conversation, leave the room. And the thought that arose after I got up was like, you know what? I don't need this shit. Like, I'm out of here. Like, I just need to pack my shit and leave. And the next thought, and this is where the shift was. The next thought was like, wow, Carlos, why is that your response? It was my response because, if we go into the psychodynamics of it, I grew up in a home where I didn't feel sort of seen or heard or validated. And I learned to put up walls and push people away, shut down. Right. So like when I'm not feeling seen or heard or validated, I shut down. And so, but here was this beautiful moment because she didn't say, like, she didn't threaten me. She didn't say anything nasty. She didn't even raise her voice. We were just trying to have a loving conversation. And so what I learned in that moment was like, oh, love and patience are the greatest mirrors to reflect back to us what's going on for us internally. This is someone that, like, for as long as I've known her, has the capacity to do that, right? To just allow the stuff that is mine to spill out and then just hold it with like love and compassion. And you can't help but like have to look inward and almost from this place of just like love, be like, I need to work on this on myself. I need to look at this. That was a big moment for me.
I think mine has definitely been more recent. It's just been in the relationships that I've had, the people coming in and out of my life, like just everything about the experience has been chipping away at everything that I thought was true. And while the first two times it was very unnerving and I was very scared and it was very fearful, because I was so grounded in that foundation. This last time, I feel like I have enough balance to be able to sit back and say,
Mm.
oh, look at me, to see that, oh, I'm not any of the things that I thought. I'm not any of the things that people have told me I am. I don't have to fit in anybody else's box. I don't have to be a certain way or do certain things, or whether it's culturally or because I'm a woman or because I'm in a role, like I can just take each situation and choose how I want to be in that moment. And it doesn't have to fit anything. Just being able to take a step back and say, okay, what can I learn about myself from this experience? Yeah, I mean, I'm not 20, I'm 47 now. So it's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But that those relationships and those experiences can just be what they are, to reveal more about me that I didn't know, and that they can really just be a learning and an exploration and just being curious about things in the moment and not have all of these attachments to them and judgments to them. And yes, while very liberating, to be in that space, when you move out of that space, it's very earth shattering, because you're really breaking the mold of what you have been for 40 years.
Right. You said such a key word there, attachment, right? I have found in my experience as I work with my attachments, like relationships is one of those like really sticky places where attachments can show up, in a pretty strong way.
Yeah.
Right? We're sort of wired from our earliest years for connection and, I mean, attachment styles, right? One of the things I've been working on lately is that idea of like when people are not showing up for me. One, that oftentimes that's my perception that I'm projecting out into the world. But two, that when they don't, instead of me having some reaction, and usually a negative one, right? Either pride or anger or resent, that maybe that's God or the universe's way of teaching me how to show up for myself, how to be okay with not, with being alone, or with not having everyone support how I'm feeling or what I'm thinking, or right, like walking alone in the world. And when I shifted that and started to sort of experience it that way, it's been this beautiful sort of letting go of like, oh, I can stand within myself, not needing anyone, right? Not from this defensive, I don't need anyone kind of ego, stuff, but from like this inner groundedness of like, if I needed to walk alone in this world, I can do so beautifully with courage, with bravery, and like fully honoring, who I am.
I'm curious how you separate that from loneliness. That's where I get stuck. Like, yes, I can show up beautifully for myself. And yes, like when I show up for others, I'm all in from day one. Like I'm 100% there, all of me. You get all of me. But when people don't mirror that, which is so hard to do, it's an impossible expectation to have of anybody, that when I can settle in the place that, yes, I can be alone and I love being alone and doing things alone. But then I find that line of loneliness that I can't seem to place it. And maybe it's an attachment to it.
This idea of loneliness is something I've had to navigate throughout my life, just because of for lots of different reasons. Again, I felt my perception coming out of my childhood was that I was very alone. My parents were there physically, but they didn't get me. They didn't understand my sensitivity, right? There wasn't space for my emotions, my thoughts, my feelings. And so I often felt very alone. As an adult, I often, whether it was for work or for any number of reasons, was always moving to a new city by myself. It was kind of this, person I just loved to explore and move places, and in the service of finding myself or finding my career, whatever I was doing at that time, there was just lots of moments where I spent alone. So it's something that I now can reflect back, like, oh, I had lots of opportunities to work on. I think part of what helps me digest it now, one is just a deeper understanding that, like, my truth is that we are all at our core very compassionate and loving human beings. And that if we act in ways opposed to that, it's often because of something that lives in us that we learned somewhere along the way, some messaging, some programming, right? That other people also feel, pain and cut themselves off from hurt. I mean, who wouldn't, right? So, like, a deeper understanding of other humans helped me to understand myself and how I want to navigate loneliness. But I think a big part of what shows up now is the recognition that at some point I have to leave all of this. At some point I have to leave, or my soul has to leave all of it behind. Everyone I've ever loved, everyone I've ever known. And, whether it's supposed to be that way or not, I want to see what it feels like as a human, to be alone, to be utterly, utterly alone and at peace.
I think when you can talk with somebody and have like a zoom out perspective, and it's like, oh yeah, like at the end of the day, our soul travels its own path.
I was sitting on Christmas Day with Christina's grandmother, who's I think turning 97 a couple weeks, or 98. And she currently resides in a small part of the home where her parents live. But anytime we go over, she's just there alone, right? There's somebody that comes and attends to her during the day. But I noticed that she spends countless hours, day and night, just sitting there alone in this bed. She's bedridden. And, culturally we might think so many, well, she's getting ready to die. We can label it so many different ways, but that can be really scary for someone to imagine when they get to that point in their life, right? My dad, before he passed this year, was at a nursing home most days, right? He was dealing with dementia, so most days it's not like you could talk, but he's right. His soul is in there, and just in these long periods of quiet and nothing and no interaction. And I, if you start to talk to most people earlier than 50, that feels anxiety provoking. It feels scary.
Terrifies me.
Yeah, I don't want that to be terrifying for me. And it's not from a place of fear. It's really from a place of how can I be in utter peace at that stage, if I can?
Death, illness, old age, part of our life, it comes. Now better to look that part of our life, sooner or later it will come. Now important is, while we're alive, our day-to-day life should be meaningful. Meaningful means, if possible, help others. If not, at least restrain harming others. That's a meaningful life. Okay. And then at the end come, you will not have any regret. I carry my life honestly, truthfully, more compassionately, and I done something good for others. Then at the end of come, you feel happy. Then according to religious tradition, if there is God, God will look after you. If no God, See, we are self creation. Because of the self creation. So you done meaningful life. So that's guarantee your next life will be happy, nice life. So that's the non-theistic religious tradition. There's no creator, but oneself as a creator. So goes one's own, like the later part of our life, much depends on early part of your life, study, and including sort of exercise. And then the result, good result come later part of your life. Similarly, this life, we carry meaningful life, helping other. This life we utilize for something good for other, more compassionate way. Then, you see, that's effect next life. So therefore, the death is something like change of clothes. Clothes become dirty, old. Then time comes to change. Similarly, this body become too old or too old. Then time comes to change. Okay, so look that way. Otherwise, you see, that is something mystery and dark. So you may get feeling of too much anxiety, fear like that. But if you know about the death, and I think either theistic religion believe God, or non-theistic religion believe yourself. You carry your life meaningful way, then there's a guarantee. So at the end, no regret. Okay.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Podcast, the Human Experience Podcast. We're so grateful to have shared this time with you.
As we continue recording new episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, questions, or topics you'd like us to explore, and tell us about your own spiritual journey. We want to connect with you.
Give us a call at 800-791-3884 and leave us a voicemail. You might just be featured on a future episode of The Podcast.
Thank you for being part of our community. Until next time, keep walking your path with peace